all pads are exactly the same? Think again.
This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics, there's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Stride K-12 powered schools are ready to put over 20 years of being a leader in online education to work for you. Dive into curriculum design for the online classroom. Team up with state-certified teachers trained in virtual instruction. Take control of your child's education journey. Discover the power of personalized learning with a leader experienced in preparing kids for a future they can be excited about. Take charge. Stride K-12. Enroll now for the...
Hello, welcome to a live edition of the BCSN SportsWrap on our normal Sunday scheduled time. I'm Brian Fulford, that's A.D. Drew, and it's good to be here with you. A.D., how you doing tonight?
Did we send out the Michael Jordan facts to everybody?
No, the facts that said we're back.
We are back. 3 words. We are back.
And even failed to send it at the given the time, hell, I even failed to get the pre-show stuff set up in time. So it's one more reason why you need to be subscribed to our YouTube channel or our Facebook page, because you would have got the notification. But again, welcome to everybody for tuning in, joining us during this the summer months. Coming up on the end of year number 6 for A.D and I, hosting the BCSN SportsWrap. Looking forward to starting year number 7 coming up in. Do we officially say it's July or August? When do we officially say year 7 starts?
We have to go back and see when we officially said year 6 ended. I mean, year 5 ended. I think. I'm serious. I think we said it's July because of the media days. That's when we start everything off. So, but don't quote me on that.
Okay, I won't. I'm fine with July 1. That's when the schools kind of start off their calendar year. Most schools, I can't say all, but most schools kind of start their academic year July 1. So I'm cool with starting July 1, or we could say August 1. I don't know. I don't even know where to go back and find any of those old archives. So if I were smart enough to go figure out where year 1 episode 1 was, I might be on to something. But
problem is that was on our old server, which we no longer have access to. And that was audio.
Yes, the glory days of doing shows in audio podcast format. Let me make sure that I haven't been getting a signal, so let me cut my phone off. Well, you're tuned in with us tonight. We got a show tonight that it is summertime blues. So it's not all talking about football, but there will be some football talk. We'll get into even part 2. If you enjoyed the nerd deep dive into statistics and NCAA revenues and all those kind of numbers, we've got more for you on this show. As Drew got a little bug up his rear and just said, you know what, I want to do some more research and data. So Drew's got more to share.
Got to present the other side of the equation. We presented the revenue side of the equation. Now, I just think it's good that everyone understands the expense side and all this money that we say we need and why we need it. Where is it going?
Yeah. Okay.
An equation has 2 parts.
Right. We're also going to try to get into, and I say try because with any of our shows, we start with a plan
and very rarely execute it.
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to frame it like that. Okay.
It's just like this is a show about athletics, Brian. You go in with a game plan on what you need to do to beat the opponent.
Right.
And then sometimes you just make simple adjustments and you win by 30. Other times, at halftime, you just throw the whole thing away and you figure out what you have to do to get out of there with a W. And some of our shows are the same way.
Exactly. So not only
we take an L too. So
well, we will get into talking about some of the I think I've convinced Drew to talk about interesting homecoming games because Drew has put together pretty much the schedule matrix for the upcoming football season. So I have talked to him into doing a top 5 interesting homecoming games for this year. Now, I'm just going to leave it at that because I who knows if we'll get there. I'm hopeful, but I don't know, just like you said.
And speaking of home games and homecoming, there's a team that's going to be playing at home for the first time in a long time. So we'll talk about that a little bit later.
I'm sure people are eager to know who that is. I don't know why they would be, but who knows? They might.
Because they're at HBCU, Brian.
You know what, Drew? You. All right, so I love you. That's all I can say. Hey, good stuff. Hey, so look, and also we got a special anniversary today. Sadly, it is the 14th year anniversary of losing the king of pop, one of the greatest artists of our lifetime. You know, and I mean, there are kids who were born in this millennium who don't know MJ. And when we say MJ, we mean Michael Jackson,
not Jordan.
Not Michael Jordan. Although being a sports show, I understand how that can be interpreted. But we lost a pop icon, a music icon, Black Music Month icon. Michael Jackson died this day 14 years ago. So in honor of that, I told Drew we're going to do some top fives surrounding Michael Jackson today. So it took me down some nice memories, memory lane, as I was coming up with some different notes and just some things that I forgot, and just going back through some different videos and things of that like that. So throughout the course of the show, we definitely gonna want you guys to share along and share your thoughts on MJ, Michael Jackson, who would have been 64 today. His birthday is not today. His birthday is not until August. But if he were still living, he'd be 64 years old right now. Of course, he died in 2009 at he was 50. Had not turned 51 yet. He was 50 years old when he died under I guess you could say, Drew, suspicious circumstances, a drug overdose. Did the case surrounding that? How did that case? I don't even recall how that case ended. Was
I think he got charged.
Did he? Okay, so but he never was like sentenced to any kind of.
He never, no. And I think he may have possibly lost his license.
I hope so. You know,
and you know, Brian, we lost two musical icons in a similar fashion, losing both Michael Jackson and Prince in the same fashion.
Yes,
because of their dedication to us as fans, caused them to be addicted to certain type of medications. Michael Jackson was because of his insomnia, couldn't sleep. Prince because of pain, and that eventually caught up with them and took them away from us far too soon.
Yeah, a lot of tragedies in music stories, but that's just, you know, isn't it crazy how that's unfortunately the majority of musical icons. I say the majority because it's definitely not all. They usually have tragic endings. It's you know, I think of even someone like a Whitney Houston, you know, just tragic endings to some of the greatest, you know, Elvis Presley, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, you know, just when you think musical icons and legends, you know. But anyway, we'll get into talking about that. So we'll do some top five stuff here coming up. Got to give a shout out early on. Chuck Hunt, first one in on Facebook. So Chuck checking in from Monroe, Louisiana. Good to see you this evening, Chuck. First one on the YouTube stream, Jeremiah Clark. And yes, Jeremiah, we have day and time identity issues, but it's the summer though. So I hope you can bear with us. You know, we appreciate you still tuning in with us. Bull jumps in. One of the regulars on the O&G strike zone jumped in. I lost an HBCU, an assistant coach to a Power 5 program. And of course, he's talking about FAMU special teams coach Chili Davis, who I thought made a significant impact in the role. But he took the bag. He took the loot. He's gone. He's gone to Kansas State. I don't know all the particulars in terms of the money that he was making versus the money he will make, but I would imagine, I'm guessing it's probably, would you say, Drew, it's probably going to be about 5 times more at Kansas State than he was making at FAMU, Florida A&M?
Oh, definitely. I would say at least 3 to 4 times more minimum.
Yeah. So that's, you know, we just lost one. I don't know. So sad. I don't know if it's a sad day for FAMU Rattlers.
It's a good day for Chili Davis.
Oh,
anytime,
yeah, great day for Chili Davis.
And anytime an HBCU assistant goes directly to a Power 5, it's a great day for the HBCU brand of football.
Right. This is interesting because this is something that I think is significant from the standpoint the Ken Clark, who they run the Jackson State 1400 Club, I think it's called. His media group, they raised $50,000 for their athletic program in 2 weeks. That's outstanding. That just shows the power of media, this entity. Lets them know that they are producing good, solid content that their fan base loves to hear. And so those are the kind of things that inspire me when I see stuff like that. When I think of our own show, Drew, on Wednesdays that we do targeted around FAMU, and I'm even sure Carlos Brown, who does a show here, and he's largely a Southern University based show. I'm sure that kind of stuff would inspire him too, and say, hey, if our platforms can raise that kind of funds, A, it gives them a voice, but B, it shows how strong a network they have and the reach that they have. So that's awesome for their fan base, for their listeners, for that show. So congratulations to the KC 1400 Media Group. Yeah, definitely. Chuck Hunt says it's hard to believe Michael Jackson passed away 14 years ago today. Interesting debate always. EA says that the greatest entertainer would probably go on to Michael Jackson, with the greatest artist going to Prince. You know what? I'm not musically strong enough to debate that, because I think what Michael Jackson had behind him was he had the Motown machine behind him, which was very significant within the Black community as the 60s and 70s, and as he came up into the 80s. And I think a lot of what Prince did, I feel like I'm okay to say that a lot of what Prince did was he really had to build and cultivate his own name. And was fortunate. Like I said, he built his name largely, I feel, I don't want to contribute it all to Purple Rain, but I think that's what put him on the minds of people in, I'm just going to say, Dallas, Texas.
Purple Rain, the movie, or Purple Rain, the soundtrack?
Well, the movie yielded the soundtrack. You know what I'm saying? I think, or vice versa. I mean, I think they were a combination. I think one helped the other. But what's more long lasting is what? The soundtrack, right?
Of course.
But I remember Little Red Corvette and all those little videos on MTV way before the movie Purple Rain came out. But I didn't know who the guy was. I didn't know who Prince was. You know what I'm saying? So I just think the machine that Michael Jackson had behind him, and he had Quincy Jones, one of the greatest producers in the history of music. So there you go. So I won't step into that debate though. If we happen to do a show though on Prince's anniversary, maybe we'll do some Prince stuff, and then we'll have to invite in C. Lee McGinnis. He is we had him on the show, and he is a Prince historian, is maybe, and that's probably not even the right word to put on him. So, all right. So Drew, let's kind of get going into a few things before we kind of get into some Michael Jackson stuff. Let's kind of get into some news and notes. And I wanted to start with we got a great text from a friend of the program. this past weekend, and that's one other than Johnny Hernandez, the head coach of Bethune-Cookman University baseball program, who really spotlighted for us that there's a significant HBCU influence with USA baseball happening right now. And so I know we've seen a few stories written, or a few stories that covered it. I know we've seen a couple articles on HBCUSportsNet.com, Alex Hines' site, even on some other sites, Game Day, HBCU Sports. But had to go do some digging to really kind of refresh what's happening here. And so basically what's going on is USA basketball. Look, I got to be careful here, Drew, because
USA baseball.
I know USA baseball, but USA basketball is also happening at the same time. So I've got to kind of make sure to clarify here. It's USA baseball. They announced their 2023 Collegiate National Team Training Camp. This release was on June 23rd, so that was just a couple days ago. It's a 58-man roster to compete during 4-game Stars versus Stripes series. So reading right from the press release on usabaseball.com, they will this year's roster features 58 of the nation's top non-draft eligible players. The Collegiate National Training Team Camp began on Friday with the first pitch of the Stars and Stripes series scheduled for today, actually, June 25th, at the USA Baseball National Training Complex in Cary, North Carolina. The final 26 roster will be selected to compete in a pair of 5-game series against Chinese Taipei and Japan, with games taking place across the Carolinas from June 30th to July 12th. Okay. Of significance, for the HBCU, the collegiate national team will be managed by Larry Lee, and I'm not quite sure where Lee is from, but on his staff is not only Jose Vasquez of Alabama State, but additionally, Coach Hernandez and Omar Johnson of Jackson State will serve as coaches at the training camp. And I think if I read it correctly, Drew, they'll even be managing some of the games that'll be taking place. If I read it correctly, and maybe I did. So, among some of the players that are on the roster, there are 3 HBCU players that are part of this. Omar Melendez of Alabama State, pitcher, correct?
Yes, Melendez is a pitcher.
Pablo Torres of Bethune-Cookman. Do you happen to know Pablo's position offhand?
Not off the top of my head.
I'm looking at the roster here, so if I can come across it. Oh, it's in alphabetical order. Well, that's friendly. Pablo Torres, he's a right-handed pitcher from Bethune. And then you had Nicholas Wilson. He's a right-handed pitcher at Southern, or from Southern. So Melendez, Torres, and Wilson, representing 3 SWAC schools, are participating. Drew, when you juxtapose this with our inclusion, and there's some guys in this, who I'm just looking at the roster of players. I see a couple of players here from Florida. Actually, there's one other HBCU player. I don't want to leave him off. I'm looking at this roster. Xavier Meacham, a right-handed pitcher that attends North Carolina A&T. So there are 4 pitchers, 3 SWAC that are a part of this. But I see players from TCU, from Florida, I'm trying to think of teams that are participating. Vanderbilt. So it's our guys are, when I say our guys, our HBCU players are having a role, or they're participants in this. When you look at this and juxtapose this along with the HBCU Swingman Classic, do you feel like that day is coming when, or maybe it's already here? I don't know. You tell me. What, like HBCU baseball or USA baseball in general, Major League Baseball, is further ahead than the NBA, which we just saw had their draft this past week. We can talk about that if you want to in a second. But just your thoughts, if you whatever thoughts you want to share there.
I think it's interesting that 4 arms out of the HBCU ranks made this national squad, Brian, and 2 of the 3 coaches from the HBCU ranks who were coaching are known for their pitching staffs, known as being pitchers coaches, being with Melendez and
Hernandez.
Yeah, just drew a blank right there. But those 2 are known for being craftsmen with their pitchers and their pitching staff and putting out good pitches. I don't know if that is planned or unintended consequence of these selections. So, I just find that interesting, the correlation between that. Also, Brian, we talk about USA baseball and African Americans in USA baseball. Baseball, even though baseball may be a little bit further ahead than the NFL and definitely the NBA, the HBCU athlete has one extra thing to contend with when it comes to baseball, Brian, and that is the international player. Mm-hmm. Because, a lot of these teams will go get somebody from the Dominican Republic or Cuba or Puerto Rico or somewhere in the Caribbean and bring them, even Australia, and bring them over. So not only do you have to compete against the kids who you competed against in high school and in college, but you've got that added pressure of competing against a Caribbean player or Puerto Rican player or somebody along that line. And let's be real, Brian, those players who are not born in America come cheaper to those major league clubs, which means if they invest a little less money into them, they will have maybe more of an opportunity to develop because it's not costing them as much to develop that player that they have less of an investment in. So, once again, another hurdle, unless you are one of those number 1 draft picks, it's just that much tougher for you to make it to the show.
It's always interesting when we discuss the HBCU badge, the HBCU badge that comes with it, because there are 2 parts of this. Like, it used to be a time when you maybe used to be just excited for seeing our guys, and when I say our guys, HBCU guys, who you inherently used to think were guys that look like us, and them having opportunities in major leagues. Okay, then we realize there's a shift to that. And so now the badge of HBCU goes with a lot of people of different, ethnicities. But baseball is such a global game. I guess in a way it really is.
Baseball is a Western Hemisphere game, Brian. Because once you get outside of Canada, U.S., Mexico, and the Caribbean, there's no baseball, Brian. Australia, maybe.
Oh, they
but not in Europe. Asia. Not in Europe. Okay, I give you Asia.
Not in Europe, because soccer is bigger in Europe than baseball.
Soccer's bigger everywhere but America.
Well, But and see, when you say that though, then it tells you that, you know what, there's opportunities in baseball. Baseball can continue to grow its sport, which is what I think when you see projects like the expanded fields of the World Baseball Classic, which expanded their fields. Like, we may scoff at a team like Australia today, but in 20 years, what that program could, the same way America, Team USA used to be scoffed at in soccer, and who knows, 25 years, that's 25 years ago, 30 years ago. Now we look at it and we're actually one of the more competitive programs in North and South America. I mean, problem is, you know, we just well, I should say North and Central America.
Yes.
Because you start getting South America, I'm sorry. We're not at the level of beating Brazil.
We're not Brazil.
Peru.
Venezuela.
Yeah. No. So I should say North and Central.
Chile.
Yeah. North and Central America, we've gotten better. We've gotten stronger. Yeah. We're still a work in progress.
I mean, even when you take baseball, just like this weekend with the London series, the Cardinals and the Cubs, you know, once again, opportunity growing the game of baseball. They're talking about possibly Paris or Germany next year for the European portion of this world tour that they're doing.
Yeah. You know,
Dr. DeVille brings up a point. Little League is around the world,
and that's what I was going to say. But that's why
most of those teams that don't come are either Asian or Caribbean that wind up in that world pool of the Little League World Series.
Yeah, but they take their. I think sport has gotten the ability to connect. You know, we talk about what the power of the internet and connecting people in different continents has done. You know, television and the internet and just satellites, and there's more opportunities to share information, and so we are looking at a period when I think there's a level of growth. Now, bringing that back to HBCUs, okay. I think that whenever HBCUs get an opportunity, and it should be stated, they have to continue to tie in education and history in with every sport we do. Because that's truly the one, watch me here, advantage that we have. Otherwise, what is an HBCU? That first word, historically, and that second word, black, means something contextually in this country. And I think, yes, you know, a lot of people will say, oh, but we've moved forward. We've taken baby steps here and there. Yeah. But again, we're not even a full century past when you and I could sit at the lunch counter with people who didn't look like us, or drink out of water fountains with us. You know what I'm saying? That could go travel and not be travel across this country freely, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? We're not a full 100 years past that. So,
Bryan, I'm gonna put that into a little bit further perspective. Bryan, you and I are of the first generation past when all of that stuff was happening. We're the kids of
those parents
generation. Because my mother and my father would tell me stories about certain things that you are describing.
Right.
And I'll take it one step further. I was in St. Louis, Missouri. I was part of what was called the voluntary school integration program.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a desegregation. So I was among that first group of African-American students, inner city, black students, who were bused out to suburban, Caucasian high schools.
Right.
Bryan, I started high school in 1986.
Yeah.
And I was a part of that first 10-year wave of students that went out there. And in 1986, from 1986 to 1990, we had our share of problems. That's all I'm going to say.
Sure, I bet you did.
Yeah. Well, I'll just put it into perspective. There was at least one racial confrontation my freshman, sophomore, and junior years of high school. Mm-hmm. We finally started getting it right my senior year.
It takes some time. And so I guess to kind of put a bow on this conversation regarding USA baseball, we're looking at the first steps, Drew. It's weird to say that, right? It's weird to think that we're really looking at the first steps of organizations like Major League Baseball, USA Baseball, so on and so forth, really making strong strides to include us. Whether you want to say it's lower resource institutions or HBCUs, however you want to say it, you know, it really is a big step in including us. And, you know, maybe 10, 15 years from now, maybe it won't be such a big thing because we will be a part of the mainstream, so to speak, if that makes sense. But these initial first steps should be celebrated, should be recognized. Question here from Jeremiah: was the last time a black baseball player was the heavily featured in a Major League Baseball commercial? Young black kids don't see enough players that look like them in advertisements.
I'm trying to think of somebody after Griffey, after Junior.
Yeah, it's been a while. That's the big overall thing that baseball in general has that problem, Jeremiah, because I think one of the most exciting players that I've seen in the past month is this young man from out of Cincinnati, Ellie De La Cruz, 6'5", just hit for the cycle for the Reds. He's wearing number 44. You know who used to wear number 44 for the Reds, right?
Eric Davis.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Eric Red, as he was called.
And yes, exactly. And Cincinnati is a team that I've been paying attention to, but I'm telling you what, they are a team worth keeping eyes on because that team is coming up hard. I know they lost 2 or 3 to my Braves this weekend, but I'm telling you, they pushed the Braves in every game this series this weekend. An outstanding series. So I think the Reds are on the right track. But I mean, he's from the Dominican Republic, Drew, and so
we're at a part of the problem.
Well, but is it a problem though? When you say it's a problem, why is it a problem? What do you say when you say that's part of the problem? What do you mean when you say that?
And no offense, but for a young African American male, even though he may look like me, he doesn't sound like me when he talks, which is why he doesn't get the endorsements, because you rarely see endorsements on major TV or anything for non-English speaking people. Where if your players who are of darker hue are not great English speakers, you're not going to see him. Have you seen the Shohei Ohtani commercial? Have you heard him speak on TV? And he's probably the best player in the major leagues right now.
I bet you he has a bunch of commercials though that run in Japan and in Asia though.
Exactly. But you can't name anybody better who's more marketable than Shohei would be.
Well, that's the bigger problem with baseball. There's nobody, not even your biggest stars, are being marketed in baseball because it just. I don't know. You know, the way people describe it though, sometimes, Jeremiah.
There's the answer.
No, okay, but show me a national commercial that Mookie Betts is in. I don't know. I haven't seen one. I haven't seen it. I know of who Mookie Betts is. He's on my fantasy baseball team. But I don't see any commercials featuring him. And I'm not in the LA market. So maybe in the Los Angeles market, there are commercials. So anyway, that's
we're going down a rabbit hole. Once again, Brian, we got off the game plan. We've gone down a rabbit hole we were not supposed to be going down.
It's all good. It's all good. So in short, what I do want to say is congratulations to those coaches there. I just, again, I'm choosing to keep the focus on the HBCU badge, because the HBCU badge has different. It's like walking into Baskin Robbins now. It has different colors and hues to it, different flavors and ethnicities. You know what I'm saying? At home you used to just get, chocolate, but then you go to Baskin. Now you go exactly. Now you go to Baskin Robbins and it's got all kinds of flavors. That's what the HBCU badge is, but it'll never change those first two letters. And so I continually want us to celebrate our history, but we also have to be forward thinking and recognize and accept that you're not gonna put until another shift happens financially, until another financial shift happens. You're not going to get guys coming back to HBCUs like they used to. They'll eventually come back in very small numbers, but I don't think we're ever going back to where we used to be. Now, that doesn't mean we can't grow, and so I'm encouraged to see the sport of baseball continue to grow. And we'll celebrate and lift up those pitchers and coaches, and hopefully it does open the door for other guys. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of this HBCU Swingman Classic in Seattle. To be honest, man, I'm in my feelings about not being able to fly out to Seattle. I mean, by now I've probably missed out on any kind of good airfare there was, but I really wish I could be out there to be a part of that. I don't know. I got one potential stipend check that may be coming from my school, Drew. I may burn it. Now, I could also burn it on something else, but it depends on what kind of bonus I get. But anyway, let me step away. I'm gonna tell on myself and get in trouble right here on the air. Let's shift for a second, Drew. We were celebrating Michael Jackson, right? So
let's get some Michael Jackson in and go to break.
Let's get some Michael Jackson. Let's go to top 5 Michael Jackson moments. Let's just kind of here's the thing, guys. On the anniversary of Michael Jackson, we want to be thinking about top 5 songs, top 5 albums, even top 5 collaborations. Like, what do you consider a Michael Jackson collaboration? I'm just throwing that out there. But really, that's a hard one. But let's go to moments. I think this should be easy to kind of think about. This should be easy to think about. Top 5 MJ moments. So I wrote down.
You going first?
Yeah. I'm gonna go through my top 5. I'm gonna go in order of 1 to 5. So, or I'm gonna go other way. 5 to 1. 5 to 1. 5 to 1. Okay. So put a little headline banner up there, Drew. These are top 5 MJ moments. Okay. Number 5 for me. I'm gonna say the Neverland stories. How about just Neverland in general? Okay. I mean, the stories, both good and bad, are kind of head scratching and really make me question a lot of things about MJ. Although nothing was ever proven, there was a lot of suspicions and a lot of innuendos that were put out there, a lot of reports. So, but I just think, and then the fact that he built this Neverland place, he built this this place for for kids, and because he always wanted his childhood, and it just is weird. It's weird, but it's weird, but it's lovable. It's, you know, it's all of those things wrapped in once, and there's good and bad stories that came out of Neverland. So that's number 5 for me. Number 4, obviously his death. His death to a drug overdose was kind of shocking. I think his death to a drug overdose happened. Did it happen before Whitney Houston? I'm trying to recall. Did it happen? It happened before Prince.
Yeah, we know it happened before Prince.
And, you know, but it was
I think he was before Whitney. Don't quote me on that. Somebody help me out.
I can do a quick Google search here. I mean, when you type in a name and it'll tell you when they. 2012. She died in 2012. So it was definitely before Whitney Houston. So his death, I mean, it was shocking. But I remember the day after, June 26th, or was it the 25th? Yeah, I think it was that day, because the news started coming out in the morning, if I'm not mistaken, right? But I just remember that whole
afternoon.
Yeah, the whole evening and afternoon, just seeing these little Michael Jackson parties pop up where people were just celebrating his music, crying, dancing, and it happened right around the same time as when like the BET Awards were going on or scheduled to go on right about the same time. And so the news.
You should have won Whitney, because Whitney died around an award show also.
No, Whitney died in February. Hers was probably around. Hers might have been around the Grammys. But no, Michael dying in the summer, that was right around the BET Awards. And I just remember, you know, I happened to see a video of top moments of the BET Music Awards, and it was Chris Brown trying to get through one of MJ's songs, and he was just bawling on stage. Didn't even get. I mean, it was heart-wrenching. But anyway, so that was number 4 for me. Number 3, top 5 MJ moments. Number 3, how about MJ marrying Priscilla Presley, the daughter of Elvis Presley?
You went there on that.
At the time, I think was 20 years younger than him. I think this was Michael in his 40s marrying Priscilla Presley in her 20s, something like that. It was, and this was coffee with cream, Michael Jackson, right? This was so
just in between.
I don't think he was. He was.
This wasn't light.
No, this was light white. Michael Jackson, like 10th bleaching job.
I think he still had some hue in his skin with Priscilla.
Okay,
is when he married the mother of his children.
Oh
man, he went all the way.
How did I miss that one? How did I not have that one on the list? Okay, anyway, that man, you just made me think about how did I not have that on the list. I'm ashamed that I didn't have that. Number 2 for me is Michael's moonwalk at the Motown 25. I remember being in the family room, the whole family's watching, and you know, I was probably let's see, that was 86, so I was probably in maybe.
I think that was 84.
So then I was maybe in 4th or 5th grade, somewhere in there. So
83, 84, somewhere up in there.
Yeah, so that happened, and you know, my parents, who obviously they watched Michael Jordan grow up, they're telling you about the history. Right? Huh?
It was 83 because Motown was started in 58, and it was the Motown 25.
Okay, so at 83, then I was only, I was maybe in 3rd, 4th grade. Yeah, 3rd grade. So, but I just remember seeing it, and I saw, and I asked why is everybody excited about Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5? And mom and dad are giving you, and then here they come on. Mom's like, be quiet. I'm trying to hear the music. Stop talking. So, you know, and then he breaks out into Billie Jean and just like quiet. And you're watching it. And then when he goes to the moonwalk, I mean, just bananas. People just losing their mind. And it's just like, that memory of seeing him glide across the stage doing some stuff that I don't know. Pretty good. What's Jeremiah say? What do you say? Bringing up stories and accusations at the fans. I mean, isn't there a limit statute of limitations on that stuff, Jeremiah? I mean, is that stuff passed? I wasn't at Neverland. I didn't see anything happen. No, I don't know what happened there. I'm just thank God Twitter wasn't around back then, you know.
Yeah.
And then
number one,
my last number one, Michael Jackson and the Thriller video debut on MTV. There was such a build-up to that. I remember getting off the bus. Now, this was middle school. So I think it was middle school. So this was airing at 4 o'clock. They were strategic about 4 o'clock because I guess they knew, you know, a lot of kids would be getting off school and be getting home by 4, right? School let out. It's like 3:30. Bro, getting off the bus, scatter. Pew, 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 pew. Kids running everywhere off the bus to get home so you can see the debut of Thriller on MTV. That was ridiculous. And so just those, and then the next day you're talking about it on the bus or at the bus stop. I mean, that's, whoo, those are. I probably left out some other stuff, but those are the ones that just came to mind. How about you? What are your top 5 Michael Jackson moments?
I'll go through 5 real quickly. These are in kind of an order, but number 5 would be him in The Wiz, trying to act. As good of a singer as he was, an actor he was not. So going back and watching The Wiz, you know, that's a top 5 moment for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
along
that.
with Diana Ross and Nipsey Russell.
Yeah.
Number 4, Brian, We Are the World.
Yes.
I consider that a moment because getting all of those superstars together to collaborate for that one song, put egos aside, record labels aside, everything else, to raise money for the USA for Africa movement. And we are the world. We are the children. Yeah. So I give that as a moment.
Who do you think? Hold on, let me ask you a question. Who had the best part, or the part that you remember the most out of that?
Ray Charles.
Okay.
Ray Charles got on that bike and just, I'm letting y'all know I'm here. I can't see nothing, but I'm letting you know I'm here.
All right, gotcha.
All right. Speaking of videos, Brian, as good of a moment as the Thriller video was, the Bad video, because that revolutionized how videos were made. That was not a 4-minute video.
No.
That was about a 18, 20-minute miniseries, it seemed like.
It came on like in the evening, like at 8 o'clock or something like that.
It was a whole 30-minute special.
Yes, it was. It
was a Bad video when it came on. So, you know, you had the song, but then you had everything that built up to the song from down in the parking garage. I mean, you had a story to the video, bro.
You did. I was kind of like meh on the song, but the whole build-up though was really kind of interesting.
Yeah. So that's
damn, your list is way better than mine already. Go ahead.
Okay, that's number 3. Number 2, you already hit on mine, was the Moonwalk 1983. So
okay.
I won't go on to that. But number 1, Brian.
Yeah.
And this, ironically, may be something that led to his death of the substance abuse, was the Pepsi commercial.
Yes.
Fire.
Yes.
Burn, baby, burn. Yes.
Oh, don't do that.
The fire, which led to that and the hair transplant, which is, after all that stuff, that's when he started going surgery crazy. If you remember, he never had a surgery before the hair incident with the Pepsi commercial. And then, of course, Pepsi had their nerve 6 months later to actually air the commercial. With that portion being edited out, of course. But
well, yeah, you know, there was a lot of money that was paid because that it wasn't a Super Bowl commercial, was it?
No, it was just a commercial. I don't know if it was meant to originally be a Super Bowl commercial. It may have meant originally to be a Super Bowl commercial. But yeah, that was my number one Michael Jackson moment.
That's awesome. You know what? It's so funny that we both came. Now, among the two of us, we have nine different things out of that list. That's interesting.
Yeah,
that's interesting. You guys in the chat, let us know your top MJ commercial or your top MJ moment. Not commercial, but moment. Your number one MJ moment. We'll flash a couple of those on the screen after we take a break. And then we're going to get into maybe talking about the top songs, our top 5 MJ songs. That's going to be, woo. Yeah, Derek White, I remember leaving football practice even to check out the Bad video. Yep, that Bad video, man. That was, appreciate it, Tamara T. So, yeah, good stuff here. Good stuff. All right, Drew, let's take a break. We're way over. And then we got to come back and get into a little more information that you gathered up regarding the NCAA revenue talk. And maybe, just maybe, we'll talk about some homecoming games. But I don't know. You know, this show, you know, we only got about another hour to go. So we're not going overtime tonight. So I'm just telling y'all now. So we are going to get out on time. And in honor of Michael Jackson, we got to get through these lists. So let us know your top video, your top moment, your top MJ moment. Hit us up in the chat room. Let us know, and then we'll put it on the air here coming up. Let's go to a break, Drew. You're rolling the stick. So let's go to a break. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College Sports Network.
Itchy, squirmy, scratchy, family not getting clean? Get Charmin Ultra Strong. Go get 'em. It just cleans better. With a diamond weave texture, your family can use less while still getting clean.
Goodbye, itchy squirm.
Hello, clean bottom.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
At Hampton Law, our primary goal is to provide non-traditional yet effective solutions and redefine the approach to client legal concerns. As your trusted legal advisor, we believe in sophisticated, personalized services that eliminate the confusion and complexity sometimes associated with legal matters. Our high standard for client care and concern, coupled with our extensive legal knowledge and skills, make Hampton Law a resource focused on the protection of the client's interest and overall goals. We value our clients and truly enjoy working with them. Visit thamptonlaw.com to conveniently schedule an appointment online. Tamika Hampton Esquire, 1631 Rock Springs Road, Suite 336, Apopka, Florida, 407-494-1471. thamptonlaw.com.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messages quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Stride K-12 powered schools are ready to put over 20 years of being a leader in online education to work for you. Dive into curriculum design for the online classroom. Team up with state-certified teachers trained in virtual instruction. Take control of your child's education journey. Discover the power of personalized learning with a leader experienced in preparing kids for a future they can be excited about. Take charge. Stride K-12. Enroll now for the fall.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and A.D here. Want to take a second again, as you guys just saw. I want to let you guys know the teachers, especially first-year teachers or returning teachers, you can take advantage of some great teaching opportunities through our new partnership or our new sponsor, Stride. As you saw in that commercial there right before we came back from break. If you go to mybcsn.net/watch/stride, you can get some great resources for you, as you're probably only you may not be planning yet, but guess what, teachers? 1 month, it's time to go back to work. I'm sorry, I had to ruin summer by telling y'all that. I'm in the same boat. I got about 6 weeks left. I'm trying to figure out how to enjoy these 6 weeks left.
And Brian, a lot of them are doing workshops right now, trying to get that continued education and get those CEUs.
Hey, look, I saw my principal and one of our instructional coaches and some other teachers. They were on Instagram like, hey, we're going on a teaching conference. Yes, that's going. As a matter of fact, I myself am doing some stuff. But I need to make sure I get them to write a letter so I can get some credit. But yeah, I'm doing a little seminar as well. I'm doing something this well at the end of the week for it's related to the role I do as a yearbook advisor over at the school. So kind of a yearbook advisor camp. But anyway, maybe I can get some continuing education credits. I don't know. I'm a mess. But anyway, yeah, exactly. So, but go to mybcsn.net/watch/stride. Share this information with your friends. Maybe your wife, your husband is a teacher, an educator. And when you add, and then there is a part that'll ask, how did you hear about this program? Just say you heard it through, just check the part where it says you heard it through the BCSN, the Black College Sports Network. All right. Let's see what some of the quickly, Drew. Let's kind of go through some of the comments. I know some of the people have been jumping in, and let's kind of see what some of those top moments are. Tamer T. Thriller was the first black video that aired on MTV. Was it really?
I believe so. I believe she's right.
Okay. I feel like I'd seen other stuff, but you might be right. You're right. So yeah, Derek, we had his comments up earlier as well. I saw Edwin. Edwin's number one was Michael Jackson getting caught in the fire in a Pepsi commercial. Yeah, I remember hearing about that on Entertainment Tonight, which was a show that I always watched. Great show, Entertainment Tonight. Dr. Gaville says the Thriller video for him was his top MJ moment. I saw another one in there. Who was it who went to the Bull, who went to the Jackson's World Tour in Jacksonville, Florida? You were actually in the house for that. Man. Wow. That's awesome. I seen some info. Now, hold on. Which tour was that? Let's see. The World Tour 84, was that the Triumph Tour, or was that what was the one after the Triumph Tour?
You asked too many questions.
I know. Let's see. I saw Captain EO at Disneyland in Anaheim as a child in '87, wearing 3D glasses. Okay. Just another part of me. Yeah, that was a good song, Chuck Hunt. Yes, indeed. Epcot Captain EO. I have no idea what that is. But anyway, I guess that's a Disney thing, huh? I'm unfamiliar. Torture. Oh, Edwin, you're referring to the Jackson Tour torture. I'll mention why I brought up the Triumph Tour a little bit later. All right, top 5 albums. Before we go forward, Drew, top 5 albums. This is controversial. This might be controversial. Now, I was doing my MJ research earlier. Victory Tour, that was the name of it, Chuck. Thank you, the Victory Tour.
Losing you, Brian. Check your audio. We're losing you.
Are you sure it's not you? Last time it was you. You thought it was me, but really it was you. All right.
All my stuff is good. Check your connection.
You guys in the chat room, let me. I haven't touched anything. So you guys in the chat room, if my audio sounds bad or you can't hear me, let me know. Just put a little comment there in the chat feature. Let me know if you can't hear me. All right, the Victory Tour 84, the Triumph Tour was 80. We're going down the deep dive here with Michael Jackson. So, Drew, I haven't touched anything. You're saying you can't hear me. Is that you? You guys in the chat room, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I don't know. Drew said, I don't know if that's Drew's headphones or is it me. That's what she said. All right. Still not hear me. I don't know what's going on. All right. Turn it up here. How's my audio? My audio sounding better.
Pull your microphone closer to your mouth. Maybe that's what it is.
Just testing one. You think
that's
you
what
think
it
we
is.
all right.
That's what it
Radio professionals here. That's what we are. We haven't been doing this for 6 years. All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. You know what? I think it's something that happens, Drew, coming in and out of the breaks. I think the audio, something happens there. But okay. All right. So I think we're all good. Okay. Appreciate it. All right. Top 5 albums. Now,
wrong banner.
What? You got to create something. Yeah. Top 5 Michael Jackson albums. Now, for this one, Drew, I would include any album. Let me preface this. It needs to be an original album featuring Michael Jackson. Now, the Jackson 5 stuff counts. So, if you included a Jackson 5 album, that would count. So don't just count the solos. Okay. Unfortunately though, I only really have 4. So my top 5, I struggled to find a top 5. So I had 4. So did you come up with 5 or are you still hunting for 5?
I've got 5, I think.
All right. I'll go 4, 3, 2, 1. Number 4 for me was the Bad album. I go Bad. I think Bad of his solo career, post Jackson 5. I think this was the 3rd best album that he produced. That was in terms of even hits, it was number 3. On my list, it's number 4, though. And I think this is where it's kind of funny, the name of the album. I think this is where a lot of Mike stuff started to turn in a direction. Well, maybe it was just me, because maybe I wasn't listening to Mike the same way that I listened to him previously. I was starting. This was early. Let me see. Bad came out in 87, 88. Right around the time when rap was getting its growth in the late 80s. I was moving into middle school and high school. We just weren't listening to Michael Jackson in middle school and high school. I'm sorry, we just weren't. So for me, Bad was never connected with me like the other stuff. Okay. Number 3 for me is the Jackson 5 Christmas album. It came out in 1970, but my Christmas days were always filled with Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5 on Christmas. And I just remember I used to feel some kind of way about the song I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. And it took me years. It took me years to understand that song. You know, it really did. I really had a issue with that. And I felt some kind of way, but I never connected the two. You know what I'm saying? So, but that was a great album though, which I still enjoy listening to during the holiday season. Number 2 for me, might be number 1 for a lot of you. Number 2 for me was Thriller. Thriller was the album I was doing my research on. Well, okay, I'm gonna go back for a second because I even though Bad was number 4 on my list, my research told me, Drew, that Bad was the first album with 5 Hot 100, 5 number 1s that were on the Billboard Hot 100.
Correct.
And 7 in the top 10. So there were 2 other songs on that were part of the top 10. Okay, so that was the significance of Bad. Even though, you know, I may poo-poo Bad, that just tells you the popularity of Michael Jackson at that point when Bad came out was higher than it was for Thriller in any other point in time. He was at his peak of mega stardom when Bad came out. Okay, his 3rd album. So again, Bad was 4 for me. Jackson 5 Christmas was 3. Thriller was 2. A good album. That was kind of that mix between Michael and the funk disco and starting to move into more of the pop stuff that he became known for. And so for me, Off the Wall ends up being my number 1 album. I don't think there is a bad song. Whenever you drop an album and there are no bad songs, I mean, come on. So you realize there's always a throwaway song. I feel like there are throwaway songs on albums. Sometimes you're like, let me skip past this one. I don't really like listening to this one. I'm going to skip. Off the Wall, there are no throwaways. 10 songs. By the way, you know, Thriller only had 9 songs. There were 10 songs on Off the Wall. And if you have the record, you had the first side and the second side. And I'm telling you what, the second side is the most underrated side of the album. The first 5 songs on Off the Wall are legendary. I mean, it's like if you had a starting lineup of the top 5 songs on an album, hey, look, you put together the top 5, first 5 songs of Off the Wall, hit. Damn, Mike. But when you flip it over and when you put on track 6 through 10, God dog, man, that is a great album, Off the Wall. So for me, that's my top 5. Drew, what's your top 5 Michael Jackson albums?
Because a lot of mine and your list are the same, I'm going to try to give 5 other ones just to jar our people's memories.
Okay.
Let's start off with the original one, ABC.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
So we'll start right there.
But that was not the first Jackson 5 album.
The first one was Diana Ross Presents the Jackson 5.
Okay. Thank you.
ABC was their second one.
Yes. Okay. I got you. Appreciate that.
Let's go history, past, present, and future. Book 1.
Okay.
And reason that one is so significant because that was probably his last major album released with multiple hits on it. He had other singles, but that was in 1995. That was probably the last of the Michael Jackson as far as the pop star.
Okay. See, I thought that was just a collaboration greatest hits one.
It was, but you had new songs on there.
He had some new songs on there. Okay.
Earth Song, You Are Not Alone, Scream, They Don't Care
okay.
About Us, and Stranger
Okay.
in Moscow.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes. How about Dangerous?
Ooh, yes.
Remember
One of
the
my
time. Black
one of
and
my
white.
one of
Gone
my
to
top
the soul.
5. One of my favorite songs
Will
is
you
on
be
that
there?
album, Dangerous. Yeah, Dangerous was pretty good. That would have been my number 5, but I really couldn't go all in with Dangerous as number 5 because I don't think that I liked Dangerous more so than the Jackson 5 stuff. And again, I have such a love for the Jackson 5 as a group, the younger era and the teenage era, that I really couldn't honestly put Dangerous in my top 5.
All right. And this one was going back now. Most people don't know I was a club DJ at one point in time, Brian. I was a radio and club DJ.
What?
And when I was in my DJ heydays, this album was one of those ones that I had to spin a few times, a song off of it. Invincible, 2001.
Really?
You Rock My World was one of those songs that I had to spin all and it was in rotation.
Yeah, that is. You Rock My World. Yes. Okay, that was a good
Butterflies and Break of Dawn was some of the other ones on that one. And then I got to take one back to back to my childhood there, Brian. Oh my God, I just lost my page. Victory.
One of the Jackson 5 albums.
It was the Jacksons then.
The Jacksons. That was the first year after.
That was after Thriller, if I remember correctly.
I thought it was the first one after. Who was the one? Jermaine. The first one after Jermaine left.
Yeah, no, Victory I thought was in the 80s, if I remember right.
Okay, well, you might be right. I don't know. Something I read.
Victory came out after Thriller.
Okay, that was he. Okay, they all came together though. They were all came back. Okay, I got you.
Yes. So
okay, and that led to the tour. That led to the tour, the Victory tour that Bull went on that he was talking about. Okay.
Yeah, that was my 5.
That's a good list, man.
And you took 4 of my original 5, which shows how deep the catalog is. When I can instantly on the fly come up with a second 5.
But many people debate Off the Wall versus Thriller. Which is your number 1 album?
Probably Bad.
Oh, you take Bad as your number 1 album. Interesting, because I thought most people.
Honestly, Thriller would probably be number 3 on my list.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. You guys in the chat, let us know. What's your 1, 2, 3 between Thriller, Off the Wall, and Bad? What's your 1, 2, 3? I see Edwin Moore jumped in with his 1, 2, 3. Thriller 1, Off the Wall 2, Bad 3. Anybody else out there? You let us know. What's your 1, 2, 3 between Thriller, Off the Wall, and Bad? What's your 1, 2, and 3? And of course, we are celebrating. If you're just tuning in, you're like, what are these guys talking about? It's the 14th anniversary of Michael Jackson's death on this day back in 2009. And so we lost one of the greatest entertainers, musicians, however you want to spin it and say it. We lost a great one 14 years ago. Michael would be 64 years old still if he were alive today. He might get canceled today, though. Honestly, I gotta say, if Michael were still alive, the stress of social media, he might have got canceled. I'm just saying, the way folks act out here. All right, let's move forward. Drew, let's. Huh? You want to? Let's save the last one. Let's save the songs. All
right, that we're just gonna put it out there. That's gonna be our last category. Everybody start putting them in the chat.
Top 5 singles. This is a hard one. I think for anybody because
just let me get some stats, Brian.
Okay, go ahead. Go. You got stats. Let's go. Stats.
Okay.
Stat them up. Let's go.
Michael Jackson had 14 number one hits. Well, excuse me, 13 number one hits as a solo artist.
Yep.
Plus We Are the World, which he wrote and collaborated on as a solo artist. And with the Jackson 5, he had an additional 4 Billboard number one hits. Now, when you talk about the R&B charts, 16 number one hits as a solo artist.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the Jackson 5s had an additional 2 number one hits as solo artists. Brian, here's something that's interesting. These songs were not number one on the charts that I am fixing to give you.
Okay.
Thriller.
Wow. Yeah. Well, yeah, I can see that.
Wanna Be Starting Something.
Oh, wow.
PYT.
Ridiculous.
Got to Be There. Smooth Criminal.
Mm-hmm.
And last, Scream, which he collaborated on with his sister Janet.
Janet.
Those were not number one hits.
Right. Yeah, Edwin, I agree with you. Trying to come up with top 5, it was hard because I actually came up with 2. I came up with a top 5, and then I ended up with an honorable mention, which ended up being another 5 songs. So, yeah, I totally agree with you. It's totally hard. Chuck Hunt, the Heartbreak Hotel. That is an underrated song. Heartbreak Hotel. That is I agree with you, a underrated song. AT&T. Drew, Picking Bad is like his Valley pick from a few years ago. Valley, right? Bad. That's like me hitting you up. Bad, really bad. Exactly. All right. Well, so that's what we're coming up with next. But before we go back to more MJ, Drew, of course, last week's show, we broke out some information that was kind of interesting to us regarding the NCAA's revenue report, which was posted by USA Today. And then, of course, the Knight Commission, has information as well. But the information from the USA Today was technically from this past school year, the 22-23 year.
Some of it was because it's not, and obviously this isn't finished yet. So the Knight Commission actually has the closed the books on 21-22. So that was literally the season before. So obviously all those numbers have been finalized and closed. So a lot of the stats and information that Drew shared from last week come from out of that. And I know we contrasted a little bit. And it took me a minute to really understand that, but a lot of the info comes from that. And so last week was a heavy on the revenue talk. So Drew, let's kind of share what you came up with in regards to this next phase of data that you came up with. Well, Brian, if anybody knows anything about business, there's always 2 sides of the accounting equation. You've got the revenues and you've got expenses. Well, we spent most of all last week talking about the revenue side. And if you've ever been in those board meetings, those meetings, people may talk about the revenues, but what do they focus on, Brian?
Expenses. What are we spending?
Focus on the expenses. How much money is going out? Where are we losing money? Where do we have opportunity to save money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Always about the margin.
Exactly. How can we improve our margin? So we talked about how all this money comes in. So schools who are doing good, schools who are doing not so good. Well, where are they spending their money at, Brian? Some people have, obviously, based on what we saw last week, have more money to spend in areas than some other areas. And these are just some of the highlights that we are going to go over here. Number one cost, Brian. Salaries.
Mm-hmm.
The blue is what people are spending on coaches' salaries. And in the red, that's what people are spending on the support staff. Support staff includes your athletic director, that's your compliance people, that's your that's your facilities people. Everybody else who is not a coach goes into that line right there, Brian. So, as you see, it's an average of $2 to $3 billion is where everybody seems to fall between, except for that one school, Brian.
JSU.
No, there them too. JSU up is north of $3 billion, but I'm talking about on the other end.
Wait a minute. Rephrase your question again.
If you look at the coaches' salaries, Valley,
yeah,
total Valley had support staff, coaches and support staff less than $2 billion, or everyone else's just their coaches' salaries are above $2 billion. UAPB did not report in this particular report, Brian, but we go from a high of $3.6 billion for Jackson State's coaching staff to a low of $1.2 billion for Valley. The average compensation in the SWAC is $2.4 million for the coaches, with the median being $2.6 billion. And support staff, your support staff, Grambling has, UAPB reported $3.3 million. Obviously, that's a little bit of misreporting because the coaches are in there. So we'll take that out. After that, you have Texas Southern, $2.1 million is how much they spend on their support staff as your high. And Alcorn and Valley are the only two teams under $1 million on support staff. Alcorn coming in at $628,000, Valley coming in at $414,000. Your average in the SWAC is $1.6 billion, and your median is also $1.6 billion in the SWAC.
So this is the 21-22 year. This was the first full year for Prime. Yeah, first post-COVID year, year number 2 for Deion Sanders.
First
fall season for Deion Sanders at Jackson State, and all of the staff and everything he brought in. So paid off championships.
Taking a look at the BIAC. Your average in the BIAC is right at $2.4 billion. So both schools are spending about the same in coaches' compensation, and support staff is right at 1.6. So BIAC is slightly lower than the SWAC as far as total compensation, but you're really splitting hairs when you talk about the two as far as the average goes.
Look who's doing more with less. I believe that was the year South Carolina State won the Celebration Bowl.
That would be the year.
Yeah, so I mean that's just one part of it, obviously, with football. But Delaware State, I don't recall anything significant that Delaware State accomplished. Interesting to see Morgan, Central, Norfolk State all with similar numbers above average.
Right. And you have to compare Coppin and Bertha Eastern Shore to each other because they don't offer football.
They don't have football, right. But South Carolina State does have football, and they're spending
and they're down there with the non-football program.
Exactly. That's why I thought that was interesting. Wow.
Yeah. And with all these graphs, the bar to the farthest right is going to be the conference average.
All right.
And quickly with your independent schools.
Mm-hmm. A&T spending
more than everybody else.
Yeah, more than Jackson State. I think when you go to salaries, now this was the year even they had an outstanding track program. I think they had this was the year that the track program
took third in the nation, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. They won
$3.8 million, Brian.
Wow.
Coaches' salary, support staff is north of $3 billion. The only school.
It's almost 7 total. Almost 7 total.
Yes, the only school north of $3 billion in support staff.
So that was, if you go back to the previous two, that was so A&T had the most in terms of salaries and support. If I'm maybe
correct. Yes,
yeah, because they were over 6.
Yes, they're the only ones north of 6.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right.
Next biggest expense, Brian. Got to get to the games, and this includes game expense, which includes things for home games such as security, concessions workers, and things like that. Also go into this category right here.
All right.
So, one thing I pointed out to you when we were going through this, if this number that is reported by Florida A&M is correct, this is one of the reasons why Florida A&M moved for the BAC to the SWAC. Because when we show you the BAC slide for the average travel, that low number by Florida A&M would make sense on the move.
So the average travel is probably about somewhere between 1.2 and 1.5. It kind of looks like.
For the SWAC is 1.4.
Okay, yeah. And FAMU spending less than $500,000. I can't believe that that's accurately reported, but maybe it is. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the BAC.
All right.
If you look at the BAC, the average travel in the BAC is $1.3 billion this particular year. So if that was accurately reported, then once again, it gives credence to why not only Florida A&M, but North Carolina A&T left the BAC also, as we get ready to see North Carolina A&T.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what theirs is.
But look at Morgan State.
Yeah.
I wonder if they flew a lot of places.
That's interesting. Morgan. Wow. All right, here's A&T, just over $1 million.
Just over $1 billion. Exact $1,042,000. So they were actually able to net the savings, looks like, by leaving the conference when it comes to travel.
Interesting when you go back to the SWAC again, because now that I've seen it all, the SWAC, the highest expenses were coming from Prairie View. Texas Southern, almost half of that. I don't know how to make heads and tails of that. And then you look at the difference between Alabama A&M and Alabama State, two schools in the same state.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I'd really have to go look and say who had to travel. Did somebody have to travel to California? You know what I'm saying? I got to look back at the 21-22 year. Edwin Moore asks, are the classics and guaranteed game expenses excluded from this?
I believe they would be included in this. It should encompass all travel. Now, you get that money back on the revenue side as part of the game guarantees, but you have to spend that money. If they pay you $100,000 to come to a game, but you have to pay 30 of that in travel. Well, for accounting purposes, it has to come back out on the opposite side.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you're right there, boy. We would have to almost do a 3-year average and go back and look at pre-COVID and see what some of these numbers are. And there may be something, depending on the news cycle, maybe something that we get into a little bit later on.
And I think I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was
going to say, with the 3-year period, with the 3-year average that you're suggesting there, this 21-22 would really technically have to be year one of that. I mean, because like you said, you had COVID,
right.
and it's hard to compare. It's hard to include.
You got to throw 20 out.
Yeah, you got to throw that, and then you should. I don't think you should put in the year before COVID with this.
You would have to do 17, 18, and 19.
Right.
Average those out and compare it to this. Compare those 3 years to this 1 year.
Yeah. All right. Interesting. Okay. After travel game expenses, recruiting budget.
This shows disparity.
Now, what did the G-men get in their SWAC recruiting? $200,000 in SWAC recruiting. Interesting. Now, this was before Hugh.
This would be one of Hugh.
No.
No, you're right.
This was the last year of Fobbs. Coach Fobbs started. And so, yeah, you know what? Hey, if people were upset about Coach Fobbs and the record, now I understand, because you were spending $200,000, and obviously this isn't just football, right? This isn't just football. This is everything, right?
But I guarantee you a majority of that.
Football is football. It's probably spending the most on recruiting, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it does bring into – look at the JSU recruiting budget. That's low compared to, wow, compared to everything else,
Right.
The power of the transfer portal, maybe, where you got more guys coming to you and you're not having to do a lot of traveling out to people.
Correct.
Interesting. I'm just, Morgan, I really would love to know why Morgan's numbers are so much higher or just on high with everybody else. I mean,
this was the Ty Wheatley era.
I don't care whose era it is. For what? Did Morgan State win a MEAC title at all in this period? No.
No.
Did they have a 500? Hell, Coach Damon Wilson would love to have this kind of budget compared to what. And again, this isn't just football. I get it, but still, you got to think a good weight of that is on football. And again, it's Morgan State half of what Grambling is spending on recruiting. It's half. They're just over $100,000 at Morgan. Grambling was spending nearly $200,000 overall for all of its programs. Good Lord. Wow, A&T, what are you? Whoa. Man, that's impressive. Now that's
but going to a new conference, making sure you compete with the big boys. First year into a new conference.
Is that what it is? Okay.
This is the first year in the Big South.
Okay.
First year is full member because you can't really consider some of the other stuff. And like Dr. Kavia say, we're not just talking football here. Everybody.
Oh, I get it. We're not talking football, but if I had to guesstimate who's spending most of
probably 50% of all these budgets.
Exactly. I would imagine 50% is football. Man. All right, what else?
Scholarships. You get them on campus, you sign them. How much did they get?
Okay. Well, Alabama State.
Your two Mississippi schools are the outliers. Everybody else is within within a respectable range of each other.
Alcorn and Valley. Alcorn at 2, Valley at 1. Wow. But Jackson State is over 3. And those are all
Alabama State.
Yeah. I'm not familiar enough. I would love to know all state schools, correct? I mean, I know they do
Yeah.
politics different in Mississippi, but
Yeah, the average athletic aid as a department was $3.2 million in the SWAC, with a median of $3.4 million. Alcorn came in at just south of $2 million at 1.98, and Valley came in at $1.1 million. But I will tell everybody, hold on to this number. This number is going to mean a little bit more when I get a couple of slides down for you. Looking at the BAC, Brian. Looks like there's a little bit more spent on athletic aid in the BAC than there is in the SWAC, with an average of $3.4 million. Delaware State, north of $5 million, Brian. Morgan State, right at $5 million, $4.98 million.
this is a good number for students if I'm thinking correctly, right? Because
we're gonna find out.
Okay. I won't jump to. I'll let it play out here in a second.
We are going to find out. A&T and Tennessee State. A&T coming in at 4.6. Tennessee State coming in right at south of $3 billion at $2.95 million.
What falls under athletic aid again, Drew?
That's going to be your cost of tuition, room and board, meal plans, book vouchers. If someone was to do cost of attendance, it would fall up under this category also.
Okay.
We talked about the recruiting budget. When you divide
cost per recruit,
right, by the people that they actually have signed, you divide the amount that they spend on recruiting by the number of athletes on campus. This just gives you a little bit of number. It's not really saying a whole lot.
Okay.
Just a number I was playing around with. This is the number that I was talking to you about. Paying attention to that budget. Even though you've got all the SWAC schools with all the money, in theory, problem is, Brian, because even though all these schools are offering about the same amount of sports, seems like there are more athletes on campus at SWAC schools versus BAC schools, which means even though they're offering about the same amount of total financial aid, when you divide it up by the students, it's coming out not quite as good and beneficial for the students. The average athlete at Alabama State gets just south of $14,000 in athletic aid. That is followed by Texas Southern at $12,000, with Southern and UAPB coming in right at $10,000 each. Bringing up the bottom, Brian, Valley, $3,300, Alcorn State, $6,000 is what the average scholarship is worth at those particular schools.
And so this means how do you what does this allow for? I guess if you were to break this down for somebody.
Let's go back to this budget.
Okay.
Athletic aid. Athletic aid. We'll take
Alabama State since they're at
Alabama State.
Okay.
Alabama State has 315 student athletes, unique student athletes.
Okay.
So you take that money, that $4 million that Alabama State is giving out, divide that by 315, and that's where this number on this came to right here, Brian, just south of $14,000.
Okay.
Going over to the BAC. Once again,
25.
Morgan State.
So okay. So let me ask this question. When you see this number for Morgan State, the athletic aid per student, 25,000. How many students at Morgan State? How many athletes?
Scholarship students at Morgan State, there were 200.
Oh, okay. So they're able to spend more because they have 115 less students.
That's one reason.
One reason. Okay. All right. Even though
plus this is just my theory, why the BAC numbers look higher than the SWAC numbers.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about where most of our BAC institutions are located at, Brian, most of our BAC institutions are in medium to large size cities on the East Coast. What is one thing that is more expensive on the East Coast besides everything?
I don't know what lodging.
Real estate, which means those dorms that those kids stay in probably cost more to build and worth more, which means they have to give out more money for room and board. I'm just speculating right here. Whereas most of your SWAC schools, well, if you throw Texas Southern out, most of your SWAC schools are in medium-sized cities to rural cities, which usually means real estate is cheaper. And real estate in general is cheaper in the South than it is in the East or the Northeast. So that may be one factor. Obviously, the other factor is what the state set as the cost per hour in those various states. So those are just two of the major factors in the differences.
Edwin Moore brings up also the cost to attend the school.
Yes.
Varies.
Correct.
And
a lot of that is dependent upon regionality. It costs more to go to a school in Atlanta, Georgia than it does in Tuskegee, Alabama. For instance, it costs more to go to, you've got more costs inherently going to a Texas Southern than you would to a Grambling, which is in a rural setting.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Those are your independent schools.
Okay.
All right. Now, before we get out of here with this, let's just take a quick review of some stuff. This is your cost, your revenue, and your expenses. We've got it broken down per conference right now.
Average, right? Averages.
Yes, these are your averages.
Okay, so for the SWAC, these are 11 of the 12 schools that we have information on, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And 6 of the 8 in the BAC.
Okay.
And 2 of the 3 independent schools.
Which is A&T and Tennessee State.
Tennessee State, right. The BAC excludes Howard. Excuse me, you have 7 of the 8 in the BAC. The BAC excludes Howard. And you have 11 of the 12 in the SWAC, everyone excluding Bethune.
Okay, so 2 general thoughts as I look at this. One, I'm not even going to focus on the A&T and Tennessee State because there's only 2. I feel like almost those 2 schools could. Well, I'm just we're not going to look at them. But just from a conference level, right? It's interesting that the average revenue for the MEAC, the smaller conference, is almost equal to what you see from the SWAC schools.
Interesting.
And that the expenses in you expect the expenses to be larger in the bigger conference per average because you're dealing probably with more opponents, things of that nature,
more travel,
but I just it's just interesting looking at you would think that a conference of 12 would be a little higher up. I would think even closer to what you see from just the combination of TSU and North Carolina A&T. I would expect the SWAC to be up at that level.
Now, I'm going to focus on that A&T and Tennessee State for a moment, Brian.
Okay.
Because they are not in an HBCU conference. They're in a historically white conference, which means one thing you'll see, most of these teams are going to spend right at what everyone else in the conference is spending, correct?
Right.
Which goes to show that the conference, the Ohio Valley, and at this time, the Big South Conference, what you need to spend to be competitive in these conferences, Brian. And I'm going to tell everybody, if we were to average those two conferences, A&T and Tennessee State would be below the median and on the bottom end of that average in those particular conferences.
Wow, that's okay.
Here's something. All these, every institution offered about 15.5 sports per institution across all the conferences. So you had the same amount of sports, but Brian, your athlete disparity was drastically different.
So go back again. So you're almost about the same.
Same amount, pretty statistically the same amount of sports.
About 15 to 16 each of them. Okay.
But the number of student athletes.
Wow. And again, no, I can't even think. Well, because the 279, you got two of the. Let me see. So 7 of the 8 MEAC.
No, now for this number, Brian, all schools report.
Okay, so you got 8 MEAC schools, 6 play football.
Correct.
So that
accounts for some.
Yeah, the two missing, I could see having an impact here on the number a little bit.
So the fact that Tennessee State doesn't play baseball impacts that independent number?
Yeah. Oh, that's true. I forgot about that. Yep.
And the fact that 4 of the 8 BAC teams didn't play baseball affects that number. Also, the fact that BAC does not play soccer, whereas the SWAC plays women's soccer, I think affects that number also, because those are other scholarship athletes on a SWAC campus that are not on a BAC campus. Just a few things to factor in there, Brian. Anything else?
No, I that's that was it.
All athletic programs were included in this number, Edwin. And this is for all 12 SWAC, all 8 BAC, and our 3 independent schools on this slide, Edwin. Going over on this one. This is one number that all institutions reported. These are unique scholarship student athletes. So if a person plays 2 sports, they are not double counted in this number.
Which is very low. I mean, it's probably very low, the number of multi-sport.
Well, think about track, Brian. Cross country, indoor, outdoor. Those are considered 3 separate sports. But they have 1 athlete.
Okay, good point. Good point. What's this? Athletic aid
Average athletic aid per institution.
And this number, how did you come to this number?
You took the financial aid and divided it by the institutions. Total financial aid offered by the conference divided by the institutions.
That's the reporting.
Athletic
So this
aid.
is for the
And
SWAC.
this,
This is out of,
and this is 11 out of 12 for the SWAC, 7 out of 8 for the MEAC, and 2 of the 3 for the independents.
gotcha.
And then athletic aid per student athlete, Brian. This shows this number kind of took me by surprise.
Why?
Once again, $9,000 is the average athletic aid offered in the SWAC versus $13,000 in the MEAC, almost $14,000 in the MEAC.
Mm-hmm.
Just that great disparity.
But like you said, if you have the cost of schools, the cost to attend a school in the SWAC, now that's a number that I don't know. Have you? That's a number that might want to think about. I'm curious.
That's when you see stuff like this. That's the next set of numbers that you have to dig deep into before you can make an analysis.
Yeah, exactly. Because I would just on the surface here, I will not be surprised if it costs more to go to the MEAC schools than it does to go to the SWAC schools.
And it would not surprise me either. Last one, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Average coaches' compensation and support staff.
All right. Looks about
and,
even.
And assistant coaches, just for everybody to know, assistant coaches are in the blue line. Support staff or your athletic director, your academic advisors, your counselors, your sports information people, your facilities people, everyone else who's not who's not directly related with that particular sport.
Okay.
Or in the red.
It's almost about even. Obviously, the coaching comps over at North Carolina A&T are probably more than I think we saw that earlier in another graph you did where they're paying a little bit more at A&T than they are TSU. Yes. And so that's why those numbers are so high. But I don't see anything out of that that's too much to glean from. So good stuff. Again, for those of you who enjoy numbers and enjoy, like you said, you want to see how the sauce is made and how, again, these are from the 21-22 year as it closed its books. Now, yeah. What else? What's next, Drew? I mean, is there anything else? I mean, of course, I just mentioned finding out that those tuition parameters, but what else might you think about, or what else could be?
I'm really interested in looking at. I wish I could get them for all 4 schools who switch conferences, but for the 2 schools that we know report who switch conferences, that being Florida A&M and North Carolina A&T, seeing what their 3-year average was in the MEAC, and then what's the trend since they have left the MEAC.
Mm-hmm.
Have donations gone up? Have donations gone down? Has travel gone up? Has travel gone down? Has recruiting? But which numbers have gone up and which numbers have gone down with the move? Has it attendance right. Before, attendance afterwards? Those are numbers that I would like to that I might look at breaking down, just those 2 schools, since those are the only 2 schools that have switched conferences.
All right. Okay. Appreciate that, Drew. Good stuff. Well, let's I don't necessarily want to take a break unless you feel like you need to take a break to maybe refresh your palate before we do this last segment.
Yeah, let me get put some water in my system and
All right.
check
All
out my
right.
notes together.
Soft. All right. All right. Let's do one last commercial break and come back. We want to hear from you as we close out the show.
Top 5 Michael Jackson singles.
Top 5 MJ singles coming up after the break. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan and A.D here. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Supermarket sushi, really? No.
Itchy, squirmy, scratchy, family not getting clean? Get Charmin Ultra Strong. Go get 'em. It just cleans better. With a diamond weave texture, your family can use less while still getting clean.
Goodbye, itchy squirm. Hello, cream bottom.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
At Hampton Law, our primary goal is to provide non-traditional yet effective solutions and redefine the approach to client legal concerns. As your trusted legal advisor, we believe in sophisticated, personalized services that eliminate the confusion and complexity sometimes associated with legal matters. Our high standard for client care and concern, coupled with our extensive legal knowledge and skills, make Hampton Law a resource focused on the protection of the client's interest and overall goals. We value our clients and truly enjoy working with them. Visit thamptonlaw.com to conveniently schedule an appointment online. Tamika Hampton Esquire, 1631 Rock Springs Road, Suite 336, Apopka, Florida, 407-494-1471. thamptonlaw.com.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8. He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Stride K-12 powered schools are ready to put over 20 years of being a leader in online education to work for you. Dive into curriculum design for the online classroom. Team up with state-certified teachers trained in virtual instruction. Take control of your child's education journey. Discover the power of personalized learning with a leader experienced in preparing kids for a future they can be excited about. Take charge. Stride K-12. Enroll now for the fall.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan and A.D here. Want to thank everybody for tuning in, hitting the thumbs up button. If you haven't already, please do so. Hit the thumbs up button if you're watching us in the YouTube, on the YouTube page, or if you're watching us on Facebook, hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed there to the Black College Sports Network. At MyBCSN1, the #1, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Our Facebook page show, of course, BCSN Sports Wrap is where you can find us. And download the Jericho Broadcast Network's app on the Google Play or Apple App Store. Just search MyJBN, MyBCSN is where you find us. And you'll also, hopefully, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, MyJBN1, hit the bell. And so that way you can get your notifications And you can always donate to the show. You can hit the Cash App button there, as you see down on the scroll. You can also leave a super chat tip as well on YouTube. And so we appreciate that. So here we go. We're going top 5 MJ singles. Hold on. Before we do that, Drew, let me pull it out of there. We talked about wanting to talk about homecomings. And we're not going to get into it on this show. We told you we might not. But I do have to bring up a little news nugget which came out this weekend from our good friend Mo Carter regarding a particular home game in the state of Alabama. So from Mo Carter, tweeted out Friday evening, the Fox 54 sports team has confirmed with officials that Alabama A&M's homecoming game against Tuskegee will kick off at 2 p.m. on September 30th. 2 p.m. Now, first off, this was one of the games that I was going to spotlight. When I talked about top 5 interesting homecoming games, this was one of the ones I was going to bring up. Interesting dilemma there for Alabama A&M based on their scheduling, because they technically really have no home games in October. The way their schedule is set up, they've got 3 home games in September, no home games in October, 2 games in November hosting Florida A&M and Valley. And you can't do the last game. I mean, you could, but I mean, hell, actually, I think FAMU did that this past year, as the last game of the year was also homecoming, I think. But you can do it.
Homecoming was in October. Homecoming was Grambling.
What about this past year?
Yeah, I thought homecoming was Grambling this past year.
I'm telling you, homecoming was also the last game of the year this past year. I'm pretty sure, but anyway, don't quote me. But anyway, you could do it.
We've done it at Tuskegee for years. Our last home game is homecoming.
Exactly. So Alabama A&M's last game
of the rival game.
Exactly. The Alabama A&M's last home game is Mississippi Valley. The game on November 4th, which is right about the end of the homecoming season, is Florida A&M. You don't want that game as your homecoming. You stay away from that. Stay away from that one. So
the Valley game is too close to Thanksgiving.
What does that mean?
That's the week before Thanksgiving.
Okay, I got you. I got what you're saying. Folks traveling and blah blah blah.
Yes,
I get you. So if you want a well-attended game, your biggest draw game, maybe next to the Florida A&M game, is going to be your Tuskegee game. It should be your Tuskegee game. If Tuskegee folks show up, if Alabama A&M folks show up. So why not make that homecoming? I just find that interesting, from a couple of standpoints. It's not ideal. It actually is one of maybe 2 or 3 homecoming games that week. It's the weekend before the first weekend in October, but you're also 5 games into the season. So, it is what it is. So the game will kick off at 2:00 in the afternoon. So that's the only little homecoming nugget that we'll share tonight. Next week we will deep dive into the top interesting homecoming games and I call interesting games that you could lose. You mess around and lose a homecoming game. That's never a good thing. So these are the games that you got to look at and say, who the hell chose to schedule them for homecoming? And then there's some schools that you schedule and you're like, oh, we ain't worried about them. But
I think that's what everybody said about Benedict last year too.
Mistake. Big time mistake.
Yeah.
All right.
They want 5 homecoming schedules, 4 of them not their own.
Exactly.
Right. But speaking of home games, Brian.
Yeah.
Did you know that VUL, Virginia University of Lynchburg will play a home game this year, Brian.
Well, didn't know that. After how many years on the road?
Who
Decades,
knows, man?
years on the road.
Who knows?
Now, where is Virginia? VUL is located in what city?
Lynchburg, Virginia.
Okay, see, I should have stopped myself before I finished that.
That's the name after the hyphen, Brian.
I got you. Okay, see, I'm totally out of it. And again, they aren't technically in NCAA or NAIA.
They're NCCAA, the extra C.
All right, and there is nobody's prohibiting schools from playing. Although, look, it is a touchy subject in many corners of the interwebs about playing non-NCAA schools. So it is one of those catchy. It's one of those things. So,
yeah. And they will be home on October 14th against University of Fort Lauderdale, who is also an NCCAA program.
All right. Well,
and
good for VU Lynchburg.
I believe they are in their third year of football down at Fort Lauderdale, if I got my notes correct.
Sounds about right. Yeah. All right. Let's get into this because we're moving into overtime. We got to get it moving here. So top. Where'd I have it? There we go. Top MJs. Okay, so Edwin. Number one for him is "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough." Lovely One. I have no idea. Lovely One. I'm not familiar with Lovely One. Working Day or Night, Human Nature, Thriller. Interesting list there. Interesting list. EA says She's Out of My Life. Goes with a ballad as his number one song. Let's see. EA points out a rare release song of Michael with the band Sweetback. Never heard of it. A remake of Maxwell's Softly Softly. I have to look that up. All right, Drew, let's go. What are your top singles? Top singles.
All right, Brian, here we go.
Is this any particular order or one?
Man, it is so hard to put these things in some type of order. I'm going to try my best to put these in some type of order. But Edwin did bring up one that I totally forgot about, which was Human Nature.
Yes, I did too.
Yeah.
Man, okay.
Yeah,
all
Human
right.
Nature. I'm mad I don't have that one on my list. But which one of these would I take off to put Human Nature on the list, Brian?
It's always a tough question, right?
Yeah, because you always say this person should be in the top 5 or the top 10, but you have to take somebody out in order to do it. Okay. How about Remember the Time?
Okay. I like that. That just missed my top 5. Okay.
All right. I am going to go with this one. It's something about the emotion of this song and, Man in a Mirror.
Okay.
It's a feel-good song. I'm starting with the Man in the Mirror,
because you want them to know.
Change my ways. Yeah.
Exactly.
We've all had that Man in the Mirror moment in our life. If you want to make a change.
For a better day.
Yeah. They make it.
There you go. All right. Good. Interesting choices. Good choices. What do you got? Third.
I just can't stop loving you.
I have that as one of my top collaboration songs, MJ and Saida Garrett. I was just listening to that. That is a beautiful song.
Yeah.
One of the rare songs where Michael is with a female artist, and you know, there feels like there's like a strong connection there.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you talk about collaborations? How about with Paul McCartney, The Girl?
Yes, that's also on my top collaboration list. Oh, well, wait a minute. You said The Girl Is Mine. Okay, see, I got the other one. Say.
Yeah, no, The Girl Is Mine.
You go with The Girl Is Mine. Okay.
Yes.
That's a good video too. The Girl Is Mine.
Yeah. And then my number one, Brian, it's gonna have to go back to my childhood. Rock With You.
Oh man, that is so funny. So funny. Okay.
Did I take some of yours?
No, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you in a second. Okay, so here's my 5. Now again, I included Jackson 5 songs.
You're right, Edwin. Collaboration should have been another list.
Yeah, we talked about that.
We talked about it, but for time's sake.
Yeah, we talked about that. So number 5 for me, excuse me, the Jackson 5 song recorded in 1971, Never Can Say Goodbye. Never Can Say Goodbye. I love the harmonies in that, you know, and I just like, never can say goodbye. No. I love the harmonizing of the Jackson 5. Yes. Ooh, little Mike, boy. Whoa, man. I get some kind of emotional when I hear that. Never Can Say Goodbye. Okay, number 4 for me is another Jackson 5 joint. So as great as Never Can Say Goodbye was in 71, it doesn't top what they did the year before in 1970 when they released I'll Be There. I'll Be There. I mean, come on now. I mean,
just pick up the phone and I'll be there.
I'll be there, you know. Great stuff there. Okay, so number 3 for me is, and I just, there's just MJ songs that move you, that just the way they start and you just get the bop and you're just like, that's PYT for me. PYT, you know, beautiful song. That's on the Thriller album, by the way.
Yes.
This is partly why I chose Thriller as my number 2 album. But PYT, beautiful song. Number 2 for me is, and you know what's funny? PYT never had a good video, if it had a video at all. If you think about it, I don't know if anyone recalls seeing a video for PYT. I don't think so. Okay, anyway, number 2 for me, a video which I still to this day, I watched the video and I don't understand the video. Billie Jean. But hell, I love the song, but I don't understand the video. That's it. When I saw that, I felt like I could make videos. I felt like I could make a music video when I saw Billie Jean. Because I mean, really, I don't understand other than walking on squares and the squares lighting up. That shit was cool. I'm sorry. I'm like, yo, this cat is walking on, and then he's lighting the way to this detective who's following. I don't understand. I understand. There was a woman, but then there was another woman. Who was Billie Jean? Anyway, that was also on the Thriller album. I think that might have been the debut song. That might have been the first single on the Thriller album.
I thought Beat It was the.
Yeah, you're right. Beat It was. Yeah, EA said he got in the bed and then he disappeared. It's like, what? Bro, what just happened there? He got in the bed and he disappeared. I just, and then you see, and then the lights would just walk. So then it was like his ghost. I don't understand. I would love to know what y'all were going for, the creative concept in that. But my number 1 is the same with you, Rock With You. Rock With You is just, whoo, that is just, that's the cut. That really is. And so I just feel like that, excuse me, between Rock With You, Billie Jean, and PYT, I feel like those 3 songs, if you with somebody and you can't move forward, if you ain't connected after those 3 songs, then put your money in your pocket and you leave. I'm just saying those 3 songs back to back to back are just heavyweights. I mean, you just go with Rock With You, Billie Jean, and then you just close it out with PYT. See, I feel like I'm telling a story. And then my last 2 songs, if you just got to really sell, you just sell with the "I'll Be There," "You Never Can Say Goodbye." You get down on the knee, and you just get down and on a knee. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. See, learn something new. I learned something new.
I do got one honorable mention. I got to put this.
Yeah, go ahead, because I got some honorable mentions too. So go ahead, your honorable mentions.
How about "Off the Wall"?
Yes. Yep. I told you one of the first 5 songs on side A of that album.
I mean that whole thing. Don't stop till you get enough. But I think "Off the Wall" was.
I have "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough" is on my honorable mention list. I'm gonna give you another one that's on my honorable mention list. Off the Wall.
Mm-hmm.
It's the "Falling in Love" on side B, track 9, I think it is. It's the "Falling in Love" that. Oh man, I'm that joint right there. Woo! It's a nice song. So that's I had "Remember the Time" just missing my top 5. And you know what I just know what stands out about "Remember the Time"?
Magic Johnson in the video.
The video, yes. Eddie Murphy,
and
Iman, and Magic Johnson. And I was just watching the opening. The opening of the song of the video is crazy because you forget how beautiful Iman was. Iman, beautiful, chocolate skin, beautiful. And so you see her, and she's sitting there next to Eddie Murphy. And this was before Coming to America, right? So it almost makes you think this is where some of the concepts of Coming to America came from.
Yes.
But yeah, Michael, and now this was heavy cream coffee, Michael. And looked like he needed to lift some weights.
Before it was milk. Before it was just pure milk.
yes, before it was just milk. Yes, exactly. And you just look and say, "What are you doing with your coffee? Why did you pour all that milk in your coffee?" You might as well
just drink the doggone milk now.
Just drink milk. Why you mix it with the coffee? You just had some milk. But anyway, that
you got black and milk.
Exactly. Who knew coffee could do that? When you threw that much. Anyway, but no, remember the time was a nice little groove from Mike. But again, that's one of those special videos. Oh, so Chuck says, "Remember the Time" was after Coming to America. Okay. That's good. Okay. So see, now you know why that worked then the way it did. Okay. Thanks for that, Chuck. I appreciate the time. See, this is what I love about talking about MJ on the anniversary 14 years ago today. We lost MJ. All these great memories come up that we're able to kind of to share. I think "Remember the Time" was one of the best videos. That and "Smooth Criminal" are. I would look. We didn't even do top 5 MJ videos, so let's not even start that. That's
a conversation for a whole other day.
That's right there with collabs. We could done collabs, top 5 videos, but yeah, no. "Remember the Time" and "Smooth Criminal" right there in my top 5 videos. I got another song that was on my honorable mention, and I love this. Every time I hear this on Sirius XM, Drew. In the Groove Station. I don't know if any of you have Sirius XM. If you listen to the Groove Station, "Dancing Machine." I love Dancing Machine, 1974, Jackson 5. That's a banger. It still gets you hyped, boy. If the toes tapping, feel like you can just dance all over the place when you hear Dancing Machine. And then you start doing the little over exaggerated steps of the Jackson 5. And then my last honorable mention from the Triumph Tour. Can you feel it?
Can you
feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Oh, I love that. That's such a inspirational get hype. You can't, I get hyped off of it. I get excited when I hear that, and then Mike comes in. But no, that's love that. Can you feel it? It's a weird video, but it's 1980. So anyway, it was what it was.
Videos were weird then anyway.
Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. Remember the time video premiered on a Sunday night in 1993. So.
Oh, here goes one, Brian.
What's that? Heartbreak Hotel. Yeah. I thought somebody else put in their Heartbreak Hotel. Didn't somebody else bring that up earlier?
I don't remember. There's been so many of them.
Yeah. I put We Are the World. That was one of my collabs. That was my number 2 collab for MJ. My top 3 collabs for MJ were I Can't Stop Loving You, We Are the World, and Say, Say, Say with Paul McCartney. But then you dropped I forgot the other Paul McCartney song he did. What was it you had on your list?
The Girl
Is Mine. Yeah, The Girl Is Mine. I let me see which one came first.
I think they were just together. Like
no,
the same.
No.
Were they two separate?
I remember the video.
I think The Girl Is Mine was first.
The Girl Is Mine was first, yes, because that was I'm say.
Matter of fact, I know
2 different
The Girl Is Mine
albums
was first.
Yes, 2 different albums. It was but yeah, so yes, he followed one up and did the other one. So yeah, I think it's on I think one was on the Thriller album, The Girl Is Mine, and then on Bad, I think he did Say, Say, Say. I think. I don't know. Somebody check me. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. All right. Anything else regarding MJ that we didn't get to as we're ready to kind of close the show out here. Been fun kind of strolling down memory lane, recalling the beautiful music that MJ left us with. And the hard part, Drew, is how do you get I don't know, maybe those of you who have kids, I would assume you play Michael Jackson songs whenever they come. I don't know if anybody's still bumping around CDs, but I know when it comes up on the radio, those of you who like to listen to Sirius or something, maybe you're singing along and then your kids are kind of like, what is that song? But I know that's how I grew up appreciating a lot of older songs. Is my dad would play, he just listened to different kind of music stations on the radio, and he would always, he liked to whistle, so he'd always be whistling and to those songs. And I don't know, you just kind of grew up in the car with your parents listening to songs. Kids probably got distracted with their own stuff these days. I don't know what you're doing these days.
How about people keeping Michael's legacy after his passing?
What do you mean?
Justin Timberlake, Love Never Felt So Good, in which he sampled, which he had Michael as a collaborator via a sample, and Drake with Don't Matter to Me.
Don't Matter to Me. Is that so wait a minute, is that a MJ song or is that a Drake song?
It's Drake's song with MJ.
Really? When did that come out?
18.
Really?
Yes. And you remember Love Never Felt So Good, probably. Justin Timberlake. 2014.
Nope. I would say does the SWV song count as a collab?
No, that's just a remake.
No, the original song that they did, wasn't that with Michael?
No, that was his vocals. That was a sample, but that was a remake. Human Nature remix. What was it with the Human Nature remix?
Okay. So that doesn't count as an original collab. Okay.
No, it's not an original collab.
But still, that's one of SWV's best songs. That's like a great
Probably
song.
their best song.
Yeah, yeah. They don't really care about us. Yeah, there were some interesting lyrics. He got. I remember Mike caught a little flack because he had a what they call a Jewish epithet in that one, if I remember correct. I didn't want, that's back when people were kind of triggered about that kind of stuff. I guess they still
are.
Be. Yeah, they still are. Hell, you'd say that, you put that in the album now, that'd be the headline.
Cancel.
Michael Jackson uses racial slur in an album. You're like, what?
Cancel.
Yeah. Love never felt so good.
Would Michael Jackson be canceled?
Oh, most definitely. No, you know what? This is a tough one because it's
real.
How long would Black Twitter hold on to Mike? It's tough. It's tough. I think.
Let's be real. As much as and let's say it, as much as we loved R. Kelly's music, we canceled him.
The hell with y'all. I still play some R. Kelly. I just can't find it. You can't find it anywhere because the radio stations have made a commitment to not play it. But yeah, no, I'll still sing I Believe I Can Fly. The hell with y'all. That was a beautiful song. And if I had my crate of music somewhere, I would drop on a 12 play in the right situation.
Just make sure she's 18, Brian. That's all I'm gonna say.
Wow, Drew. Oh, whoa. How about 30 or older, Drew? Come on,
We
man.
talking R. Kelly here. We talking R. Kelly, so I'm just gonna say make sure she's 18.
Let's bag up and get out of here, Drew, before you get me in trouble. Good Jesus. Lots of great headlines going on out there. The end of the month is coming up here. Is this the last show? Yeah, this is the last show of June. Unless
June 30th is that magic deadline. We haven't seen any action or heard of anything this year.
What do you mean? Such as what? Like
the June 30th is always the conference churning deadline.
It is. Yeah. So this will be an interesting week to see if any last minute news drops. You know what we didn't talk about here? We didn't talk about the NBA draft, which happened this past week. You and I, both basketball guys. I saw an interesting note here by EA. EA, I don't know. You made mention of an HBCU tie with the number 3 pick, Scoot Henderson. Because Scoot Henderson comes from out of the Decatur, Atlanta area. He's one of, I think, 6 or 7 siblings. Really, I'll tell you, of the broadcast. And so I'd love for you, EA, in the comments, what were you referring to? Or I think it was EA who dropped it. What were you referring to about the HBCU connection with Scoot Henderson? Did Scoot's dad go to FAM? I'm curious, but I enjoyed in watching the broadcast. At first, I wasn't sure what was happening because you had ABC and then ESPN, right? ABC did something very unique for the draft, Drew. They focused on families. And I thought that was really cool because, again, most of these kids are mostly what? Young Black males, right? And it was really cool to see, for the most part, mostly Black families. But regardless, you saw Black mothers, Black fathers, siblings who had been a part of the journey and help. And they told some really good stories. Jokingly, when I saw the stories about the first 2 or 3 draft picks and the heavy enrollment that the fathers had. I mean, when you go to Scoot Henderson's father, Brandon Miller's father, even the Thompson twins, Asur and Amin. I think I got the order wrong. Amin went first, then Asur, Thompson. Their fathers were heavy into their basketball development and growth. And I was joking like, there's gonna be a high run on basketball dads coming up here in the summer and fall, man, because basketball dads are gonna be on it. But I really liked. At first, I didn't know because again they skipped over a draft pick or two, and I was like, yo, what happened with the Magic, like the Magic's draft pick? But they end up, I found out later that they ended up talking about families, and ESPN is where they gave the basketball analysis, which half these guys who were giving analysis hadn't seen these kids play and had no real sample size to go on. Okay, so EA says, Leonard King, is he a FAMU HBCU guy? FAMU guy, 84 to 89, his son. That's right. Mojave King was signed to the Pacers. Yep, I saw that. I had no idea who. I was like, half of America was like, who is he? I just learned about these guys maybe a week before the draft. So you must have heard. Did you hear a topic on there, Edwin? I don't know. I don't know when I'll be on. Unfortunately, that's a great show that comes on the same time that I'm sort of always getting prepared for the ONG. So it's kind of hard to get a spot in. But yeah, I just, so Drew, I was rambling here. I don't know where I was going, but your thoughts on the NBA draft here before we close. Did you watch any of it?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a short conversation.
I mean, we knew who the top 3 picks were going to be. After that, it's like,
we know who the top pick was going to be.
I had a good idea that Miller was going to be the second pick, but it's kind of interesting that he was the second pick after everything that went on at Alabama and all the open stuff with him at Alabama, that somebody would take that big of an investment. But that goes to show you, if you are good at what you do, somebody's going to take a chance.
Okay. Tell me more, EA. That's not really helping me. But yeah, I think the Brandon Miller thing, they tried to look, what that told me, Drew, is sometimes you can't get all, like, a lot of people make a big deal about stuff that NBA teams don't really care about. That may sound kind of cold, but it is. Now, if you want to stand on a particular side of the street and say, if Brandon Miller had never brought that gun to his teammate, there'd be a mother still alive for her child. If you want, I think you'd be perfectly well within your rights, because you talk about that train of consequences. Not saying that Brandon Miller knew what was going to happen. Okay, I think there needs to be a line between what he thought might happen and what did happen. But so many young people, here's the lesson, Drew. So many young people don't think about worst case scenarios. And to my father's credit, he drilled in the worst case scenario theory into me so much that, hell, I'm scared to do shit, Drew. I mean, I'm serious. I'm serious. I always think about, I'm the guy that you go out with, and I'm thinking, what's the worst thing that could happen in this situation? Right now, I'm not always the designated driver. You know what I'm saying? but I'm of that thought. I'm of that. That's how I was raised. Think about the worst case scenario. Think about the exit. When you go into the club, where are the exits? I'm like, who tells their child, hey, when you go out to have fun, know where the exits are? But then
in today's society, you got to know that.
Hey, you see some stuff pop off. You see a club that goes up in fire and smoke, and you think, damn, I've never been on the dance floor in the middle of the dance floor. Why? Because I'm too far away from the exits, Drew. I can't do it. I can't do it. But so anyway, back to the point is, if you think about what's the worst thing that could happen, does that situation ever occur? Probably not.
Yeah. Well, here's my thought on the draft, Brian. And here's the hypocrisy of the NBA. You've got Brandon Miller, who we all know revolved around the gun and the incident in Tuscaloosa, who goes as the number 2 pick. But you suspend Ja Morant for 25 games for having a gun on video. Brandon Miller, the number 2 pick, was with the gun where a crime was committed. Ja Morant had a gun with no crime committed, but he gets 25 games and loses billions of dollars. You see my problem with this, Brian?
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I mean, but it's hard to make a blanket policy in these situations.
I'm just saying that I guarantee you, if it was up to the Memphis Grizzlies owner, he would have slapped Ja on the wrist, and Ja would have went about his business.
Maybe it depends. You don't know. It always depends. I say it always comes down to what has happened in that franchise. If, let's just say, the franchise had lost somebody due to gun violence, they probably cut Ja Morant because they're like, we take this so seriously. Remember the Washington Bullets used to be the Bullets until the owner decided to change the name to the Wizards because he didn't like the name Bullets, and given the gun violence in D.C., I think it was, right? And so he changed the name to the Wizards.
Exactly, Edwin.
So
Brian, I may be wrong for saying this, but Ja Morant plays in Memphis.
Yeah.
You fill in the blank with that gun in Memphis.
I'm with you. I'm with you. There's a guy who doesn't get it. There's a guy he did, but also that's strike 2 now. So, at some point, somebody's got to be saying, hey, man, do you want a career in this league? Or do you want a career with this organization? So that's the key. So I think there's some.
Unfortunately, Brian, as long as we, as Black athletes and athletes in general, sign the back of a paycheck instead of the front of a paycheck, we will always be succumb to other people's rules, whether we like them or whether we don't. And that's my final thought for the day.
Well said. Well said. So I will leave it at that, and we will pick up this show and get ready to get out of here. Again, want to thank everybody for joining us wherever you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube. If you're watching the stream on Twitter, thank you. Please make sure you hit the thumbs up button on your way out the door if you have not already. Make sure you're also following the JBN YouTube page, MyJBN1. We need to get those subscribers up. So if you are not already subscribed, please do. And you will get the notification. Hit the bell. You'll get the notifications with our other shows during the course of this week, including Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on Tuesday and Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central. The ONG Strike Zone, which is a FAMU-centric show, Wednesday evening, 8 p.m. to 10 Eastern. And then Carlos Brown is Saturdays, every Saturdays from noon to 2 Eastern, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. And if you're also a part of that JBN app, you'll also get some great shows, Random Thoughts with DVP and Grumpy Old Nerds. So we are continuing to build that platform, the Jericho Broadcast Networks, which is the parent company of the Black College Sports Network. And so we appreciate your patronage and your support, however you do support us. I'm inspired by the KC 1400 Media Group raising $50,000 for Jackson State football. I'm inspired by that. Hopefully our listeners and our watchers, our viewers will get behind us, help support us entity, Black College Sports Network, and however you can in all of these platforms that we have. Podcast listeners, download, listen to the podcast on the BCSN Pod Zone, everywhere you listen and download podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, all of those places and more. Please, 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 BCSN Pod Zone, go download and subscribe. So that's going to do it for tonight's show. Thanks to everybody. Appreciate your comments. We hope you enjoyed going down memory lane with the Michael Jackson thoughts. Go play some MJ tonight in the house, your favorite MJ song, and, expose the youth to the good times that we had growing up. So that's going to do it for my guy, A.D. Drew. I'm Brian Fulford. We'll see you next Sunday in the new month of July, 6 p.m. Eastern, we think. Probably. Yeah, 6 p.m. I'm not going to lie to you. 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Eastern is where you can find the BCSN Sports Wrap as we get ready to go into year number 7. So that's going to do it. Peace out, everybody. Be safe. Good night.
Travel light. We'll holla.
But stay on hard.